There's a story we've all been sold that what's meant for you will find you, that life has perfect timing, that if you're patient enough, it'll all fall into place. But that's not how it works in the real world. Nothing moves without you. You can have dreams, talent, and even destiny, but none of it matters if you don't act. Waiting isn't faith. Waiting is fear dressed up in spiritual language. No doors swing open unless you knock, and sometimes you have to kick them down. Fate doesn't hand out rewards for potential. It backs those who show up and refuse to fold. What do we have at the foundation, please? 5 of Pentacles, Taurus energy at the foundation of the reading. Perfect card to get to follow everything I just said. In fact, there's not a single other card in the tarot that could follow what I said more perfectly, because the 5 of Pentacles speaks about a lack mentality, a lack mindset, a poverty mindset, right? It's this energy of thinking that you need to wait for something that's never going to come to pick you up and place you in the middle of your destiny. Now, there's this energy inside the collective right now that I've been picking up on in regards to people who have these stand-down tactics programmed into them, which is stopping them from showing up to a space where they should have already been by now. And the most common stand-down tactic that we all know of is that Christ is going to return and save us all, right? Which couldn't be further from the truth. The truth is that we are meant to find Christ consciousness within ourselves and save ourselves, right? Which is completely grounded in reality in comparison to a man showing up to save us all like he's Superman. Now, the 5 of Pentacles here is speaking about the need for you to finally show up for yourself, because I feel that you finally have everything you need, and you still may be telling yourself this story or repeating this narrative inside your mind that you still don't have what it takes to go in a certain direction. Now, the most common reasons why this energy would be impacting you right now, and look, we all deal with this, whether big or small, every single one of us has been impacted by this spirit before. And yes, it is a spirit. It's an energy. It's a kind of possession, because anything that stops us from achieving what we came here to do is most definitely some sort of enemy energy. A lot of us pick this up in our childhood when we're developing, when our mind is developing. We're taking in our environment. By default, we trust the authority that's in our life. And in some situations, maybe the authority around you just didn't know any better. They did the best they could. But in other cases, you had authority around you that knew exactly what they were doing. And what I'm picking up for this group of individuals that I'm reading on is that your path is different. There's a uniqueness to what you are meant to do in this life cycle. And when it comes to these unique paths, 100% of the time, you are going to be faced with this kind of spirit, because there's this opposing force that knows you're coming, that knows you have been incarnated here for a special purpose. And typically speaking, that purpose is to break some sort of generational curse in your family lineage. You are here to break chains. You are here to shatter illusions of lack and show people that the only thing standing in the way of them and achieving your true purpose as a means to fulfill your mission and live out your dreams is an outdated belief system that is looping inside of your mind like a broken record, skipping on an old, dusty phono player. What do we have at the sacral, please? Lovers in reverse, Gemini energy at the sacral. So I feel that there's some individuals in your life, or it's this mindset that's still lingering around, that is creating some sort of imbalance within you. It's like your higher self and your shadow self are at odds. There's a misalignment there. Your higher self is trying to show you, hey, look, you can do this. You can pull this off. There's nothing standing in your way. You just have this residual energy from this previous cycle or these people that were surrounding you, right? So it could be that you have left people behind in your life, but some of the words that they have said to you over the years still rattle around inside your mind. In the 11th hour, when you're trying to go towards something, you're trying to achieve something, you're trying to pull through some new manifestation, you just hear all of the things that they said to you and you give up on yourself. You let go because you don't think that you can pull it off. Now, the way you bring this into alignment is by facing your shadow. And the way you face your shadow is to really think about that point in your life where you were first impacted by those damaging words, whatever it may be for you. Feel that moment. Recreate it in your mind. Make a ritual out of it. You know, this is something I've spoken about in several readings going back months. The power of writing a letter to your inner child, that past version of yourself. And that's exactly what I'm picking up here. There needs to be a reconnect with that version of you as far back as you can possibly remember when you first heard those words or whatever it may be, that you'll never be able to do that you can't do this, that, or the other, that you need to live your life this way. That's not who you are. This is who you are. You need to go back and you need to undo that programming. And what this is going to do is ripple through the timelines to the you in the here and now. See, time travel is possible. It's something that we do all day long without even realizing that we're time traveling. Memories are a sort of time travel. But what I'm suggesting here is understanding that reconnecting with this past version of yourself is not only time travel, but you can also rewrite your memories. And how do you rewrite your memories? Well, if you are going back to an earlier version of yourself and sitting with yourself, helping yourself find a sense of peace and understanding and perspective, that the words, the events, whatever it may be, the trauma had nothing to do with you, that it was nothing you did wrong. It was just the hand you were dealt. It was just the circumstances for whatever you may have been going through, or your family or whoever it is may have been going through. We could say that this is recreating a memory. Now, when you have that memory again in the future, it shows up a bit different. But in a nutshell, everything that I've said here so far has to do with something that you need in the here and now to push forward, to align with your true north. But you're coming up against some sort of blockage. And the way you overcome that blockage is to turn around and go back to an earlier version of yourself and address the best you can. Doesn't have to be perfect. Just recognize it, but address what was broken and do your best to fix it. Almost in an instant, you'll feel a sense of relief. You'll start to feel the movement all around you. Your reality will begin to shift because you're interfacing with it differently. You're no longer looking through the lens of this trauma that you might not even have known was affecting you as much as it was. What do we have? The solar plexus, please. Wow. 10 of Wands in reverse. Unbelievable. All the cards are following what I'm saying. The 10 of Wands in reverse is an energy of you letting go of everything that has been creating energetic draggage for you in your life. Again, that you might not have even have known was having this much of an impact on your forward momentum. Typically, we don't know how much something is holding us back, person, place, thing, mindset, until we release it. But there's an energy here of complete freedom. And I'm starting to feel this sense of relief. And this 10 of Wands in reverse, Sag energy, is right there at the solar plexus. So I'm getting this balanced solar plexus energy now, which is you just feeling more in control, like you're finally in the driver's seat. And I'm seeing you looking in the mirror at yourself with this big smile. You have your hands on the counter and you're looking down at the sink. And then you look up at yourself in the mirror directly in the eyes and you say, I'm ready. I'm finally ready. And you feel this tremendous weight just lift off of you. And it's in that moment you realize that there's nothing holding you back and that everything that was holding you back was a kind of spiritual dent. It was energetic. It was something that you couldn't even see. It was something that was plaguing your mind. There's nothing more powerful, I feel, when it comes to shadow work than reconnecting with a younger version of yourself and being there for yourself because nobody else could be, because nobody else could explain to you what you didn't even understand anyway. You were so confused. You were so lost in this emotion that things were your fault. And nobody took the time to tell you that it wasn't your fault. You were a scapegoat. It was just easy for them to pass it off onto you because they themselves didn't want to take accountability. The silver lining here, this is your story now. This is your experience. This is in your mission statement. It was all supposed to happen like this because of what it gifts you. What do we have at the heart, please? The Tower, Mars, Aries, Scorpio energy at the heart. Now, what you will come to understand when you take the actions that we have outlined thus far is that this is a kind of forbidden territory. This is something that nobody could have ever have imagined that you would actually do, let alone pull off. There is a deep generational karmic pattern that I'm feeling being shattered across multiple timelines by this action that you are taking. Every soul leaves a mark, okay? Every interaction is a kind of invitation. So it's like you're either here awakening someone or you're weighing them down. There's no neutral presence. You're either nourishing souls or you're draining them. Our purpose here, however we show up in that space, it's going to be different for everybody. What we're all tasked with doing as we move about our everyday waking lives is to be a kind of presence that makes people believe in their own light again. When we can understand that we're in this constant giving and receiving with the universe, and that what we are putting out is exactly what we are also going to get back, you will start to see tremendous growth in multiple areas of your life. So now, having said that, and going all the way back to the beginning, about everything that we've channeled through up until now, we can see how it all connects, right? It's like you have to go back and heal those parts of yourself. You have to do that shadow work. Once you do that shadow work, it empowers you to start pushing forward on your path in the here and now, so you can start pulling your manifestations through. And you take the lessons you have learned from that shadow work you have done, which is what I'm talking about here in regards to being the kind of presence that makes people believe in their own light. We can see now how everything that was once holding you back is the very thing that you empower yourself with to move forward on your path. And you extracted that wisdom from your trauma, from your struggles, from that shadow, and you impart it upon other people and to help them break the chains that are binding them. The Tower is also speaking directly on this false sense of security that a lot of us have had programmed into our psyches that we must hold on to, these kinds of stand down tactics, right? Which goes back to what I said at the beginning of the reading. There's this kind of narrative that's been fed into the collective consciousness that we need to wait for things, right? We need to wait for Christ to return to save us all, which is actually a metaphor for finding Christ consciousness within self so we can be our own superhero. See, there's too much of this in this world. People use all of these stand-down tactics that have been fed into the collective by the enemy. Most people use destiny as a kind of shield to avoid owning their own power, right? They call it divine timing, but really they're just stalling. Nothing is meant to be until you make it be, right? So life hands us these raw elements, a kind of spark or a vision, but we need to build it. That's all on us. Success is not passive. It's pressure applied until reality shifts. Period. Push forward, especially when it doesn't feel easy, because that's where the real magic is going to begin to unfold in your lives. Okay? What do we have at the throat, please? Empress in reverse at the throat. Literally followed what I just said about waiting, right? So the Empress in reverse really speaks about putting the responsibility on someone else to do the heavy lifting in your life. It's an energy that's very dependent on others. It's also an energy that's very insecure, or it can be an energy that's very creatively blocked, but it's all due to these stand-down tactics, the things that we tell ourselves. But this sort of energy here, it's a really difficult energy to navigate. It's like treading through molasses. It's just moving very slow. It feels old, right? It feels like generational karma. It feels like something that has been there for a very, very long time. And this is what breaking these kinds of generational curses that have been plaguing our family lineages feel like. In most cases, it's been around in your families for hundreds of years, but your success is all connected to this. And the purpose, I feel, of this reading so far is to just recognize the feeling, is to recognize the energy when it plagues you, right? Feel that heavy weight spiritually when you're trying to push forward in a certain direction. Why? Why is it there, right? Or listen to the thoughts that unearth themselves from the deep recesses of your subconscious mind when you're trying to get that breakthrough? What are they? And where did they come from? And what you'll start to notice is a pattern. You'll see that every time you are going in a certain direction, that this spirit comes up and pulls you back down. It feels you trying to escape. And it's very hard to compartmentalize because we're not dealing with something in the physical world. It's not something that we can grab onto. These are principalities. This is something ancient. What do we have the third eye? 10 of Swords, Gemini energy at the third eye. There's a spirit here that I'm picking up on that many of your ancestors that came before you were tasked with breaking down. They were tasked with breaking this curse, and they weren't able to do it. Now, the way you're going to break this curse is by understanding what it is. And I feel for a lot of you, it has to do with some sort of self-sacrifice, but not the positive kind. It's like sacrificing your highest good and potential to appease other individuals around you for their own lack of growth and awakening in their own life. It's sort of like staying back with somebody, giving up what God has tasked you with doing inside this life cycle because you feel bad for them or because they haven't quite figured it out yet, which leads to a kind of bitterness. And typically that bitterness is going to lead to you feeling victimized by your circumstances. This is a kind of trickle-down possession, right? It kind of looks harmless at first, but then as time goes on, you start to really gain perspective over what it is you actually sacrificed for these individuals around you that will never change because they don't want to, but they expect you to stay the same. And this is a kind of vampire spirit as well, which is something that I've been picking up recently. I'm hearing something about people who are overly invested in your life but disappear when you need support, right? And they make you feel like you're responsible for their emotional state. And this is probably one of the main ways to recognize a vampire spirit is when you start constantly questioning yourself. And when you feel kind of emotionally scrambled after you have a conversation with them. You just feel really drained all the time when you're around this person or you have any sort of contact with them. That is a vampire spirit. Now, once you finally understand this and you get away from that vampire spirit, whoever that may be in your life, it's probably multiple people. But one of the first things you want to do is call back your energy, right? And this is something that I was really thinking about recently. What does that mean, to call back your energy? But then it just came to me. I feel that the best way to call back your energy is through a kind of nostalgia. It's like when you're thinking about that younger version of you, when you had that dream, or you reconnect with a younger version of yourself and the things that you like to do. You know, recently I felt the need to buy some pictures and some art, things that I really liked when I was younger. It just came out of nowhere. I just really felt the need to be able to see these things around my house. So I bought some of this art, these pictures, and I framed them all and I put them on my walls. And it made me feel so nostalgic, but in a good way, right? And I was like, wow, that's what calling back your energy is. It's calling back all those parts of yourself that make you who you are. See, on one hand, you're going back, you're doing this shadow work to help close out that cycle, to help heal those parts of you, which ripples through the timelines to the you in the here and now and gives you what you need to push forward in a certain direction, right? But then it's also maybe going back to that same time and extracting all of the positive memories and holding on to those things, right? I feel that the act of doing both of these things has a way of sealing that cycle and rewriting those memories from that time in your life. Again, there's a serious depth I could go to there, and for each one of you, it's going to be different. But that should be enough to give you guys something to work with. But overall, we're picking up on this massive push to close out these cycles, rewrite the bad memories, extract the good ones, immortalize them, bring them back to life. This is kind of funny, but when I was a little kid, I loved He-Man, right? I had all the He-Man toys. And the other day I saw this He-Man poster, right? The one where he's got the sword up to the sky and it says, I have the power, right? And so I bought it and I framed it and I put it in my living room. And when I look at it, I laugh, but it just makes me feel really good. And it brings back this sense of nostalgia a feeling. And I feel that placing things around your environment like that, which put that smile on your face, give you that happy memory for that moment, might just be what you need. It could be that final push to help you accomplish something in the here and now. If you can just think for a moment how energy works and how our minds work, there's a way to hack our own minds. And I'm sure that there's going to be many things that I don't even mention in this reading that a lot of you can expand on, okay, for yourselves. Or maybe you can put something in the comments that adds to what I'm saying here. And then right on the bottom of the deck, Six of Cups. Okay, so, I mean, unbelievable. So the Six of Cups, if there was one card to represent everything I was saying about nostalgia and extracting these things, these happy moments, it would be the Six of Cups. It is the card of nostalgia, okay? It's like an energy of you reuniting with these past versions of yourself, not just the ones that brought pain and suffering and trauma, but the good ones, right? Isn't it interesting how it's just the painful ones that stick with us? We're so quick to forget all those positive moments, and I think we need to start honoring that. And then right underneath that Six of Cups, we have the Magician and the Ten of Pentacles. So it's like it supplies you with something. You know, the Magician is, it's all about manifestation, but you have all the elements. You have all the tools that you need, right? What did I say? Life hands you the raw elements, right? The vision, but you've got to build it. It's like you have all the elements, you have all the tools within you, but you just need to go back and find them. And then it leads you to the Ten of Pentacles. This Ten of Pentacles would be the result of you breaking this generational curse. You break the curse, you receive the spiritual inheritance. What do we have at the Crown? Wow. Death card, Scorpio energy in reverse at the Crown. There's an energy here that refuses to let you go. This spirit that I'm picking up on, the spirit of lack. This is no easy task. This is, again, one of the hardest things you will ever do in your life is breaking free from this principality, rewiring your mind that you can do it. But the hardest part about all of this is environmental, the influence, right? The people. Because when you're taking this path, nobody's on that path with you. That's the hardest part, right? Becoming the black sheep. That's what this is. You know, but the black sheep is the one that turns into the goat. If it was easy, somebody else would have done it before you. So you can't expect anybody to ever understand what you're doing here. Even once you accomplish it, they won't understand and they won't support you. They'll feel slighted. You have to walk through the darkness alone. All those spirits there with you, holding your hand in the physical world, it's just you. But as we saw there with that Ten of Pentacles, the payoff for this is huge. I mean, there's nothing greater because it also goes beyond material wealth and abundance. It's a legacy, something that stands the test of time. It's a rarity, and that's why only you can go. And this calls for you having to leave people, places, things behind. As time goes on, it becomes easier because you start to gain perspective and you start to truly recognize how broken a lot of these people are and how they just refuse to put in the work and self-examine and meet you where you're at, which makes you question what they called love to even begin with. And then right on the bottom of the deck, wow. The World. So here you are, right? See, there's those elements now, like we saw in the Magician card. You're closing out the cycle. You're stepping through the portal, right? And then Five of Cups. It's like you have to turn a blind eye. Right? There they are back there in 1 foot of water, pretending like they're drowning. And in the past, you would have saved them, right? But now you realize you can't do it anymore. You don't want to be under this dark cloud, which is this energy, that lack mindset, that poverty mindset. It comes with the territory. To have them, right, be a part of your world, you have to stand under the same dark cloud as them. You can't just put them under the blue skies that you stand under. Because think about all of the work that you have had to put into yourself to get there. Now imagine them trying to do that. It's almost impossible. And I just heard in regards to nostalgia, right? It's not always longing, okay? It's a kind of map back to pieces that you left behind. It's a kind of place to retrieve power, not dwell in pain. What do we have at the foundation, please? Wow, 3 of Pentacles, a Robos. So whenever I get this card, it reminds me of a bull in a china shop. It's like somebody who's trying to stand in your way or just comes through and destroys everything as you're building. And I feel that this is representative of this energy, of these people, of this person, of this spirit. But this is what you are gaining perspective over now. You see it. Yes, we all have to take accountability. Once you become an adult, everything that's happened to you up until this very moment is your responsibility to deal with, right? Even when it's things that happen to you when you had no control or say so whether or not those things happened, right? You are the one that can heal yourself now and empower yourself to push forward. Nobody else can do that for you. So it's up to you to heal all those parts of yourself that your circumstances broke along the way. These energies, these people, these principalities will always do what they do. They will never change. You're the one that has to change. And once you begin to understand that and you step back, you'll finally be able to let go and focus on what you need to heal within yourself to no longer allow those energies to create stagnation on your path and block you. What do we have at the sacral? Page of Wands at the sacral. So they're doubling down on this message here in regards to these people that you may be dealing with, most likely family members, friends. Place it as it fits for you. But they really want you to understand here that these people just don't see things the way you do. And no matter what you say to them, no matter how many conversations you try to have with them, they will never understand, because the perspective that you have gained is something that was gifted to you by the divine. It cannot be taught to these kinds of individuals. They have not been gifted with the sight to see, because the divine knows that they're not responsible enough to use it correctly and for the greater good of all. They're limited in their thinking is really what it comes down to. No matter how great you become, no matter what you accomplish in your life, these individuals will always put a negative spin on it, no matter what you do. You can go out and win a trophy, an award for something, and they'll look at the award or the trophy and they'll say, well, it's just made of plastic. You know, this is just a real basic example of what I'm getting here. Just a lot of negativity, right? But it's all based in jealousy and envy and their refusal to really grow up and do the work necessary to align with their path and mission. What do we have, the solar plexus, please? Too many cards. What do we have, the solar plexus, please? 5 of Pentacles again, so we have it twice. I'm picking up on a lot of financial hardship here for these individuals, and this is universal law. As you rise, as you step into alignment with your true north, you self-empower and you push forward on this path that we've been picking up on here, these individuals are going to have a decline in multiple sectors of their life. And it goes beyond punishing them, right? It's not even really about that. It's to try and get them to change, right? This is how the universe works. I mean, it's obviously a kind of karma, right? The scales have to tip. It's universal law. As you go up, they go down. And a lot of this has to do with the fact that keeping you stuck with them allowed them to vampirize off of your energy, like we picked up, that vampire spirit. They nourish themselves with your light and with all of that possibility that you hold inside of your being. So when you finally cut the cord and move on, and you become the main character in your life, it's paradigm shifting for them. Everything changes from one day to the next. They just slowly start to lose everything. 10 of Wands in reverse stacked with the 5 of Pentacles, they refuse to let go of these burdens. And rather than put in the work that they need to in order to align with their path, they do everything they can in their power to come for you, to stop you by any means necessary, which is what I feel a lot of you are dealing with right now. It's all a part of it. It's all a part of this spiritual war. This can create a lot of confusion as well, because these are people that you thought loved you or have been in your life for all this time, and you begin to wake up to the truth and you realize that these people they're like the walking dead, soulless zombies. What do we have at the heart, please? 3 of Wands, Aries energy at the heart. You have faced so many obstacles on your path. And see right here, in this tower, it's like you're in the tower, right? And then there's almost like a mob coming for you. It's like a lynch mob, right? And then this 3 of Wands here, which represents an energy that has created so many blockages in your life that you're just now starting to recognize, right? You're actually starting to see, wow, so that's why I didn't get the breakthrough there, because that person, without my knowledge, was doing something behind the scenes, not realizing that there was people in your environment that had it out for you or that were working overtime to stop your growth. And I feel that a lot of these people are individuals that you confided in. So it's like they knew your every move. And then here you are wondering, what's going on? Why does everything just seem to slip through my fingers in the 11th hour? I can't quite figure it out. Is it something I'm doing wrong? You'll be blown away. Just how much forward momentum you begin to gain when you disconnect from people that you suspect doing this. This is how you truly pinpoint where this energy was coming from, right? Start removing those common denominators from your life and then see what happens. That's your proof right there. And I'm talking to people right now who have been putting the work in, right? But just not getting that breakthrough. And there's just no real good reason. But you haven't taken these steps yet, right? You haven't combed your environment. You haven't done the shadow work, right? Or you need to do more or something like this, right? It's going to be different for each and every one of you. But we've sort of given little pieces of many different things here, things that you can try, things that you can work with to hopefully start getting some sort of movement. But in a lot of the cases as well, these things work in tandem. See how there's a kind of connection to all of this, right? One thing leads to the next. It's like this giant web that has been cast out over your entire life, and it makes it impossible to even recognize this. I mean, look at all the work you've had to go through to get to this point of seeing what you see now. Now imagine what you don't even see yet. Once you open up to it and you're actually working inside of that space, you're putting in the necessary actions to create that movement, Spirit will start feeding you more and more ideas. More and more things will begin to crystallize. You'll gain more and more perspective. And then we have the 7 of Cups, Scorpio energy, Ashila. Contemplation. Follows everything I just said perfectly. Because here you are now. It's like you're thinking about everything that's happened. And you have this hourglass, right? You're recognizing how much time these people stole from you. And yes, it all had to unfold like this. But there is a time when enough's enough, you know? And that's the thing. Not a lot of people are able to break out of it. But this is your time now. This is the message to all of you that enough is enough. It's time to take back your power. Call back your power, right? The illusion has come to an end. Seeing this jigsaw puzzle just all coming together in my mind's eye. The picture is coming into focus with every piece that is placed in its allocated position. Those are all those pieces of you. This is what they feared, that you would call back your power, that you would remember who you are, that you would heal, release, and find peace within all of the weapons that were formed against you on your path since before you even realized what that meant. Because for a lot of you, most of this happened during those times in your life. What do we have at the throat, please? Knight of Swords. air energy at the throat, intellectual richness, the all-pervading God. So now, after all that, you've taken the power back. You're implementing the necessary changes, whatever it takes to push forward, break through this energy. You've had the perspective shift, and you're realizing that all of this was a certain kind of energetic prison cell, a certain kind of hell, right? That we find ourselves in. That's what awakening feels like. You wake up and you're like, where am I? What is this? Who are these people? What is this life I've been living? This can't be what life is about. Something's off here, right? See, it's all of these questions that they never wanted you to ask yourself or to ask them, but you've called back your power. All these pieces of yourself that were scattered along your path, you're becoming whole again. And with it, you're able to start implementing these lifestyle changes in your life and align with your true north, which sends this shockwave through the timelines, causing you to align with your higher self, step into your true north, and become the master of your own universe. Dropping a little He-Man right there. What do we have at the third eye, please? Wow. Unbelievable. The magician right there at the third eye. So see how they teased that magician earlier on in the reading, and now it comes out? And what's interesting as well, I just said becoming the master of your own universe, right? The magician is that energy, okay? This is you mastering your reality, turning your visions into your reality through determination and purpose. But it's all made possible because you've realized your potential to do so. And this, I just heard that this happening is literally taking people out, right? These people. It's like, here they are. They're like, oh, no, I can't believe they found their power. I'm melting, right? It's like, as soon as you become the best version of yourself, they just kind of fade away into obscurity. They just can't come to terms with that, which is a truly vile thing to think about, right? You becoming the greatest version of yourself is the worst news that these individuals could ever hear, but it just means that they failed at their mission to keep you bound and shackled. They were the keepers of that generational curse, and they failed the mission. After hundreds of years, it came down to you and them, and you beat them, just like you have all your ancestors rooting for you, right? The good ones. It's like they have all these principalities that are coming for them now, right? Disappointed in them for not being able to destroy you, to hold you back. What do we have at the crown to close out the reading, please? The world. At the crown to close out the reading. God, the source of wisdom, fountain of wisdom, gives success in all ventures. So this is confirming what I said earlier on in the reading about you extracting wisdom, right? And imparting it upon others. It's like, here you are now. You're like, yes, this is how I broke this generational curse. You have to go back and you have to reconnect with your shadow self and blah, blah, blah. There's people watching, right? And they're like, oh, okay, I understand how to do this now. Right? However this shows up for you, this is just the example that they are having me give to all of you. But what's interesting is that they flirted the magician card and the world card earlier on in the reading. I think around here is when we saw it on the bottom of the deck, right? And now they've come out here. So they were still showing us what you were going through or what you're going to go through, depending on where you are on the timeline, before it actually happens. But this is a completion of the cycle. It's over. Once you do this, I just heard you can finally live in the sun, right? Just really speaking about happiness not being something that you have to fight for. It's just something that is yours by divine rights. It can't be taken from you now. And that's something that feels like a guarantee, because when you think about all of the work you have had to put in to get to this point, right? And like I said before, earlier on in the reading, you can't imagine those people doing the same thing, right? Going down this path, doing everything you've done. It's just not going to happen. So now that you've got it, it's yours. And it's at home with you because you have the power to protect it. And this can speak about many things goes far beyond just your happiness at this point. This is generational. You are the master of your universe, of your reality. And if these individuals want to try and take that crown, best of luck to them, because it certainly won't be happening in this lifetime. All right, this is what I have for all of you. Please don't forget to like, share, subscribe, turn on your notifications. And if this reading resonated with you, give me a thumbs up and or a comment down below. And I still have a few more limited spots left for personal readings. So if interested, you can find that information down below as well. And I'll talk to you all again soon. Take care.